Hey everyone, it's Ollie Lindley here from One Number, and today we're going to talk about dashboard action filters. These are amazing tools to really take your dashboard's interactivity to the next level. This workbook is in the description below. You're welcome to download it and follow along. But we're also just working off Sample Superstore, so if you want to set yourself a challenge and rebuild this, go for it. What is an action filter? An action filter is basically a way that we can indicate to Tableau an action that Tableau should perform when I interact with my dashboard in a certain way. So for instance, my action filter would be a way of me saying, hey, when I interact with my dashboard in this way, I want you to filter this element of my dashboard. Now, what's super cool is I can specify if that's the whole dashboard or if that's just specific worksheets. And we're going to take a look at some different options. In fact, we're going to look at global filters, like I just want to filter everything. Specific filters, I just want to filter a few specific sheets. Second dashboards, like, hey, how do I get this dashboard to filter that dashboard? So we'll chat through all of those options and take a look at how to set those up. So the first one we're going to take a look at is global filters. For instance, we've got this little region map over here. If we want our region map to filter these two sheets, that would be a global filter, right? It's filtering everything. So let's do that. If I click on the sheet that I want to use as my sort of home base, right? This sheet that I'm going to interact with, and then I'm going to click this use as filter button up at the top here. It's kind of like the little funnel icon, and that's the sign of a global filter. So when I hit that, Tableau actually creates an action filter, which is super cool. So you don't have to dive into the menu and set it up. You can just get Tableau to do that for you. And now when I click on South, for instance, these get filtered. Now Central, West, East, very nice. Okay, why don't we do that for category sales, right? I want category sales to filter these others. So let's click Use as Filter. Now, however, what you might say is, well, I don't know that I want category to filter the map as well. Maybe I want to leave the sales map, but I just want the category filter to filter the subcategory sales sheet. How do we do that? Well, it's not too tricky. I'm just going to uncheck this use as filter button and we'll build our own. So if you want to build an action filter, right, you want to be super specific about what you're selecting, we're going to go to this little dashboard menu up at the top of our interface. So dashboard and actions. The shortcut is Shift-Command-D, Control-D if you're on a Windows. So here, this is kind of like our actions library, right? Every action that we create is going to be stored in this little window. So the first one, filter one, generated, that is the filter that was generated when we clicked the little filter icon. This is our global filter from the map. So that's pretty cool. That's stored already. And Tableau created that action for us. But we're going to go down to add action and we're going to select filter. Okay, that's going to open up this little window. Now it might look a little bit overwhelming at first, but all of Tableau's action menus are exactly the same. And by exactly the same, I mean they run off the same logic, right? They might not all be structured in exactly the same way, but they all run off the same logic. So this is what you have to watch out for in any action menu, not just filter actions. You need to look for a section where you specify what you're going to do, right? How am I going to interact with the dashboard? What am I clicking on? What am I hovering over? What sheets am I selecting? That kind of thing. And then you want a section where you're going to specify to Tableau, hey, what are you going to do? So what needs to be filtered and in what manner and how many sheets and in what dashboard, right? So these are our two sections. This is what I'm going to interact with. This is what you're going to interact with. So let's call this something nice and clear, like category action filter. Okay. And now under source sheets, you'll see I've got the option of my two dashboards, my detail dash and my high level dash. And our dashboard here is high level dash. So that's the one that I'm basing this action out of. I'm saying this is going to run when I'm interacting with this dashboard. But not with all the sheets, only with the category sales sheet. So I'm going to check category sales and I'm going to uncheck all the other sheets. I don't really want this action to run when you click on those. Now, this little run action on section over here is the actual thing that you're going to do. Are you going to click? Are you going to hover? Are you going to, click on something in a menu? And the basic idea is that it runs from fastest to slowest. So are you going to hover over something, right? Should Tableau run the action when you just hover over a category? Should you select it, right? Do you want to click on that category? Or do you want to click on the category and then what looks like a hyperlink pops up in the tooltip and you can then click on that hyperlink. So it's basically 0 clicks, 1 click, and 2 clicks to run your filter action, which is pretty cool. Single select only it's in the name, right? You get, it's a single select and then it runs the filter. So that's the idea. I think we want ours to be run on select. I don't really want the whole thing to be filtering just by hovering over it. I don't think we need that sort of speed. So let's go for select. So should we read this back? I always read my actions this way and then this way. Okay, so we're gonna say when I select the category sales sheet in the high level dash. Okay, perfect. You're gonna filter, now we're turning our attention to what we want Tableau to do. So you're gonna filter the subcategory sales sheet and the category sales. Sure, we can check it and uncheck it. Why don't we open it up after this and take a look at what that would look like. So we'll leave it checked for the moment and clearing the selection and now we can define an action for when we click on the same bar again, right? So like to uncheck it, to unselect the selection that we just made. If you think about, you're working with a map and you check the blank space outside of the map, what happens? Tableau deselects. So what do you want to happen then? Do you want all the filtered values to be kept? So you don't really want things to change. Do you want to show all values, meaning you sort of restore the worksheet to its original state with all the values that you just filtered out? Or do you want to exclude all values, which means the worksheet goes blank, right? Tableau filters out everything. So that can be very useful, but for our case, we're going to say, hey, show all the values. That's what we want. And finally, down here, this little filter and selected fields. I think, if I remember, I'll run you through an example of this in our next dashboard. But this is super useful when you have multiple fields in one worksheet and you need to be very specific to Tableau about which field you want to do the filtering. So it's not just, hey, take all the fields in this worksheet. It's only take this one and use that to filter all the others. So we could come back to that. Hopefully we do. Okay, let me hit OK. There's our category action filter. We're going to hit OK again. Now let's click on technology. Okay, beautiful. Subcategory sales is filtering and our map is staying the same. Lovely. Okay, so far so good. So what happens if in my dashboard now I want to add a category filter, like a drop-down menu for my end users? So I want to make it super clear. Yeah, you can click on the bars, but I also want you to be able to interact with a menu. Okay, so let's go to category sales. Oops. And let's show our category filter. So right click, show filter. Let's go back to the dash. I'm gonna hit the drop down. I'm gonna go to the filters and I'm gonna choose category. Okay, very nice. Now, if I uncheck category, right, this is filtering my categories sheet and not my subcategory sheet. So if you want a filter to apply to multiple sheets in a dashboard, what you need to do is hit the drop down, go to apply to worksheets and say selected worksheets, right? And that means we just select the actual worksheets that we want Tableau to filter. And now I can take a filter that I added only to this worksheet and apply it to others. So now, as I uncheck these, we can see that this is changing too, and my categories are changing. Okay. However, here's what I want to show you. If I select technology on this worksheet, our category filter actually isn't changing. So what's happening is something kind of unique to action filters. And the idea is that Tableau doesn't see the dimension filter, in our case category, as the same as the action filter, which is the filter that's carried out when I click on my categories worksheet. So the implication for your dashboards is that when you add these dimension filters and you have these action filters, they can get really confusing for our end users. We've made a selection, but it's not reflected in the actual filters that we've added to like a menu bar or something like that. So it can be super weird. So instead of adding, if you have dashboard action filters, instead of adding these dimension filters, let's clear it out, delete the container. Let's make sure that that filter's not applied anywhere. And I can see here it is. So let's just take that off of category, off of subcategory, and it would actually still be here. So let's take that out just to make sure, we're resetting everything. Our action filter is still working. And here's what I'd recommend. You have the option of clicking the drop down, then going to filters, and you actually have this little category one. Is this our old filter? Interesting. Action category, here we go. This is what I'm looking for. So we're gonna hit the drop down on subcategory sales. Well, let me explain to you what I found. So I was looking for this filter on the filters tab. So our action that we set up acts as a filter in its own right. Tableau has dropped this onto the filters tab, the filters card in our original worksheet. So what we want to do is say to Tableau, look, in our dashboard, can you please show this category filter, this action category filter? So I'll hit the drop down, we'll go to filters, and we'll choose action category. Okay. So now watch, as I click these through, do you see how this original chart isn't changing? But the thing that I do want to show you is the action category filter that we've added now corresponds to our selection in the category sales worksheet, which is super cool. I guess to make it very clear, we could rename this and just say, select a category or something, and then we're good to go. So that's a heads up. That would be quite useful. Let's take it one step further and say, well, we've got this action filter set up. Well, I want to drop in another sheet. So in our case, product sales. Now, of course, this doesn't apply to everything. Oh, it does apply to everything. That is very interesting. Maybe, this must have been a mistake from when I added it and maybe I didn't uncheck it or something. Anyway, just to show you, if for some reason you run into a situation where you're adding other worksheets, you're trying to get them to link up with your action filters, you can go back here to our dashboard actions and add in those sheets. We could select the ones that we want to include. Product sales would be in there. Or we also have the option of hitting the drop down and saying apply to worksheets and say selected worksheets. And now we're back here and we can say, cool, let's just make completely sure we do want product sales, we don't want the region map. This is, you can see, already applied to subcategory sales. So we've got the option of doing all of those. And maybe we say, let's just, for clarity's sake, we're filtering category sales as well. Okay. And now those are all filtering nicely. Okay, super cool. I really like that. We're going to take a look at one big example and then just one or two little tidbits here and there. But before we move on, if this is interesting to you and you want a little bit more help in your Tableau work, why not book an office hour with us? We're set up to help you. You can buy a single hour from us or a whole bunch of them. And we love helping people work through their Tableau problems. So if you need a little bit more muscle, a little bit more help to tackle your Tableau problems, we'd love to be there for you. The links to those bookings are in the description below. But if you want a little bit more structure to learning Tableau, why not join us for a class? It'll be super fun. We're really excited about our summer classes that we've got lined up. Everything from Tableau beginners to experts. And it'll be cool to have you with us. Okay, so let me show you what this cool filtering action could be. So I'm gonna quickly hide this worksheet and I wanna show you this detailed dash that we have over here, very aptly named. Okay, So this is quite a lot of information, and I don't want to hit my end users with this straight away. And I especially don't want to hit them with the information at a huge, countrywide level, 2 countrywide levels, right? Canada and the US. So what I want to do is I basically want to say, look, when you select a region in this dashboard, what if you get redirected to this dashboard and it filters these countries down to just the region that you've selected? In fact, it filters everything to the region that you've just selected. Well, what we're going to do is use a filter action to do exactly that. So I'm going to go here to dashboard and actions, right? Just like we did earlier, I'm going to add an action. I'm going to add a filter action. And I'm going to say, there's actually, before I give you the name, let me say, I want this to run on the menu. Now, a menu run action looks like a little hyperlink in a tooltip. And the name of that tooltip, or the text that Tableau displays in the tooltip, is whatever the name of the filter is. So here I'm going to say, what about click to see more details for the, and then I'm going to click this little insert button and choose region. Why? Because I'm only going to have this filter run when you select a region. And so any fields in Tableau that you see between the 2 little chevrons are representing the live values of those fields. So here, if I click in the West, it's going to say click to see more details for the West. So it's just a nice little touch that adds a level of clarity and maybe sophistication into my dashboard here. So, right, what am I going to do? Definitely menu, but I'm going to be clear about what I'm selecting. So only select the region map. That's good so far. And what do I want you to filter? Well, I'm going to hit the drop down and I'm going to say the detail dash. So don't filter this dashboard that you're on now, the high level dash. I want you to take me to the detail dash and filter all of the worksheets there. So I'm not unchecking anything. Filter all those worksheets there. And clearing the selection, now this is an interesting choice, because clearing the selection actually refers to deselecting whatever region we've selected in this worksheet. So for all intents and purposes, it doesn't really matter because we're going to be on another dashboard. So I think I'm just going to leave it as keep filtered values and we can see how that works. Okay, let's hit OK and OK again. Now, if I click in my region map, you'll see that we get click to see more details for the East. I'm going to click on that and boom, this is filtered. This is the East region. That looks super nice. Let's go back to our high level dash and check out the South. Okay, awesome. That's fantastic. I think the one other thing that I'd like to add would just be some way of kind of redirecting yourself back home. So we do have a video on how to create a home page and navigation buttons, which hopefully we'll link in the description below. And that's probably a bit more of a sophisticated look, like a little drop-down menu that you could have over here with some redirecting buttons. All we need though for our intents, for our purposes, is a back button. So I think what I'm going to do is grab a navigation button and just drop it right up here. That looks so beautiful. And I'm going to drop a blank button like that and just drag this right over and pull this right back up. So we just got our little button at the top left. And here, this navigation button menu is the simplest menu you're going to see in Tableau. You'll work it out in 2 seconds. So I'm going to navigate to my original dashboard, right? The high level dash, because we're in the detailed dash. I'm going to say my button style is text. It could be an image, right? We could get like a little PNG with a back button. It could be super cool, but I'm just going to go with some text now. And I'm going to say back, and I can change my font and my border. Let's do this, and my background. Okay, let's try this. Yeah, that looks fine. Okay. And then we can add some tooltips. I mean, a tooltip. Take me home. Apply that. Okay, that looks fine. Kind of working with the colors that we have. So that's very nice. And I think, just an FYI, my dashboard title would go in this space, but I didn't make one for this dashboard. So imagine a beautiful dashboard title there. And that should be all good. Should we try? So we're gonna go to, we actually don't even need to. Let's click on the West. Let's say click to see more details for the West. Beautiful. And now let's say back. Oh, options, click to go back. Central, very nice. Options, click to go back. Okay. Last thing that I want to show you today, and hopefully this will help. We spoke about that source selected fields option at the bottom of the dashboard actions filter. Now here's a situation where that would be useful. So here in our state map, you see we've got actual states in our region and cities. So if we said to Tableau, hey, I want you to use this as a filter to filter all of these worksheets based on my selection, watch what happens. If I click Manitoba, there's nothing. South Dakota, nothing. Kansas, nothing. But if I click on Detroit, okay, suddenly I've got some information. So that's interesting. So Tableau's looking at my map and it's saying, well, I presume you want to filter on the city. So because I'm clicking on a state, I don't get any information. So that might not be what I want. Maybe I actually want to filter on the state because filtering to a city doesn't make much sense, for our analysis. So I'm going to uncheck this user's filter. I'm going to go to dashboard. I'm going to set up an action and I'm going to say, let's set up a filter action and we're going to call this state filter. Now let's be sure what we want to select and not select. So I want to say run action when you select a state, right, in the state map, in the detail dash. Yes, so far so good. I want you to filter everything. I don't want the state map filtered. I think I want to keep everything so that you can select some other things. But we can play around with that and see if it actually looks a little bit better the other way. Clearing the selection will show all values. That's what I want. I want to kind of reset it so that you get an overview for the region again. Now, this is the part that really matters. My selected fields, so I'm not going to say all fields, I'm going to say selected fields, and I'm going to click to add a field over here, and I'm going to add state or province. Okay, and let's go. That's what I want to use. So now, should we just double check that it's working? If I select Manitoba, now we have some action. South Dakota. Oklahoma City still filters. Cool. We can we can tweak our little filter and get it off it. But what I wanted to show you is just being able to specify the actual field that you want to use, which is really nice. So I hope that's been helpful. Filter actions are so powerful in Tableau. People use them for all sorts of weird and wonderful things. But what we've looked at are some global filters. We've looked at action filters, applying them to various worksheets. We've looked at making that drop down available to your end users. We've looked at navigating between worksheets, adding back buttons and making sure that the right field that you want to filter on is available. So I hope that's been helpful. If there's anything else that you want to know, pop it in the comments below. Why don't you connect with us on LinkedIn? We'd love to do that too. And until next time, keep well. Thanks so much for joining.